You may not know it by looking outside your window, but crime in the United States is actually improving, and by quite a lot. Since a peak in 1991, violence has hit a low that we haven't seen in a long time. Major crimes such as murders and attacks are down 74% since 1990, and property crimes are down by 71% too. You could do a whole video on the plummeting crime rate, but experts say there's a few reasons crime has gone down. Our population's aging, we're consuming less alcohol, the economy had been improving, and people have more guns. If you have to worry your neighbor's armed, well then you might think twice about taking his 1990 Ford Festiva. Plus, cell phones have apparently been helpful in making people safer, and antidepressants have had an impact on lowering crime too, believe it or not. Anyways, while you might not think we're safer, we are. So we got special permission from the local police chief who said we could take this police cruiser around the block a few times. So buckle up everybody, it's going to be a rough ride. We're going to visit the most dangerous states in America for 2021. Breaker one, we got a 1553 going on in a shady Phoenix neighborhood. Be advised. Oh, we got a call. Better send the fuzz. Hop in, everyone. We're going to Arizona. Now, you may not know it if you live in Arizona, but the Copper State has dropped a little bit in crime numbers since last year, when it was the 9th most dangerous place to live. However, Phoenix in particular saw what one local news agency called a dramatic rise in violent crime in 2020. A lot of that has to do with people being stuck indoors. Domestic violence numbers in Phoenix shot through the roof, as they did in many of our other largest cities. But the pandemic's impact on crime numbers has been a mixed bag. Police are being more lenient on arresting people to keep incarceration rates lower to help prevent the spread of COVID behind bars, which means more criminals on the streets. And much of the lower class has been impacted by job losses during COVID, which has meant more desperation on the streets. So we've seen murder rates, gun violence, and assaults go up during the pandemic. Conversely though, with people at home a lot more, there's now less burglaries and break-ins now. Anyways, you can look at COVID's impact on crime from many angles, but it's complicated to say the least. In terms of the most dangerous parts of Arizona, many are cities you haven't heard of if you don't live in Arizona. Smallish towns on the fringes of the Phoenix metro area or way out in the middle of nowhere. Tucson's still really bad, though it improved a little bit last year. None of the most dangerous places in Arizona are on the Mexico border, surprisingly. To me, maybe not to you. Arizona's the furthest west state on the list. California ranks as the 12th most dangerous state, and Nevada is right behind it at 11th. Nevada's always been pretty dangerous, but California's crime numbers have gone up a little bit lately. Shots fired, somewhere in a St. Louis ghetto. All units respond. Uh-oh, this is gonna be rough. We're going to St. Louis. There's parts of St. Louis like this that you might not make it out of if you ventured in. Last year, the city saw its murder rate climb to the highest we've seen since 1970. St. Louis saw 114 homicides this summer alone. One police lieutenant said most of the murders here are unsolved and stem from random fights, people on drugs, and arguments over money, and that is just so pathetic. Last year, Missouri was 10th, so crime numbers are getting worse here. Other criminal hotspots in the Show Me State are Springfield, which is actually statistically just about as dangerous as St. Louis is, and Kansas City, Missouri, which is the 4th most dangerous place in the state. But other hotspots are just random small cities out in the middle of nowhere. 1031, we have a 918 in progress in North Tulsa. All units be advised and on the lookout for a man wearing an Oklahoma white trash t-shirt. This is gonna be fun. We're going to North Tulsa, where things are dire at best. Oklahoma's crime numbers have held steady over the past year. The biggest increase in crime here was due to property crimes. This is the 6th worst state in the nation for thefts and robberies, particularly car thefts and larceny. If you don't know what larceny is, it's a more serious charge than a theft and often involves shoplifting, identity theft, stealing credit cards, or knowingly receiving stolen property. What a jerk, who would do that? North Tulsa, where we are now, is the most dangerous place in this whole state, which is why Live PD spends so much time here. But keep in mind that most of the homicides here, like in most cities, begin with beef between gangs or other idiots who won't pull their pants up. It seems that the eastern side of the state has far more cities on the dangerous list than the western side does. Some are in no man's land, and some are suburbs of either Oklahoma City or Tulsa. Nearly half of Oklahoma residents say they have a firearm at home to protect themselves and their property, and that's 20 points higher than the national average, so you think this state would rank lower in crime, but it doesn't. The safest place you can live in Oklahoma is a little place called Lone Grove, way down near the Texas border, which saw 0 violent crimes and less than 1 theft per day. It's a small place way out in the country, and there's only 5,000 people there, but still, 1 in 20 people was the victim of a theft last year. I mean, you know who done it? Look at the place.
We have a report of a robbery in progress in Birmingham. I need help. I'm going in.
Mappy, you're a cop now?
I am today. They like the way I carry myself, if you know what I mean.
He just wants to eat donuts.
I don't think cops do that anymore, Karen. Maybe coffee, but donuts? Well, we're riding shotgun with Mappy right now, who apparently has a badge. I can't imagine any of the criminals we're going to see will actually take him seriously, so we're probably going to just stay in the car for now. Here in Alabama, things aren't very safe overall. There was, statewide, more than 1 murder here every single day. Now for perspective, Oregon has almost as many people that Alabama has, but it had less than 1/3 of the number of murders that Alabama saw last year. Vermont only had 11 murders last year, but there's only 623,000 people there. The big trouble spots here are Birmingham, Mobile, and Montgomery, which isn't a surprise considering they're the biggest cities in Alabama. Huntsville and Tuscaloosa are also terrible criminal hotspots. Birmingham, in particular, has a history of being in the top 10 murder capitals in the nation. Fairfield sucks to live in if you want to be safe. It's a Birmingham suburb. So why all the crime in Alabama? I mean, they already have the 5th highest number of people locked up. A lot of the problems in the state stem from alcohol, drugs, poverty, and racism. But it's just about the most religious state in the nation too. I made this point before in another video. Now if you look at a map which shows states ranked by religion and compare that to states ranked by crime, you'll see the most religious states are some of the most dangerous, and the least religious are the safest states. So why do the states with the most religious people have the most criminals? So perhaps Jesus doesn't always save lives? Can I say that? Tennessee got a little bit safer last year, believe it or don't. I mean, relative to other states, it moved down a spot. Still, it remains the 3rd most violent place in the nation per capita. But it's no surprise, with places like Memphis making headlines every day for its high number of murders. Memphis had set the bar high, but still managed to break its own record with 287 murders last year, which is just about the same number of the entire state of Alabama. What is going on in Memphis? I mean, Los Angeles has 6 times as many people as Memphis does and barely had more murders than Memphis did last year. Memphis police say the high murder rates because of gangs, drugs, guns, and domestic violence. You think? Outside of Little Savannah, Tennessee, a city of 10,000 people way down on the Mississippi-Alabama border, every single most dangerous city in Tennessee is either on the far western or eastern extreme of the state. So for the most part, the middle of the state's the most peaceful and quiet. Nashville, with a crime rate higher than the nation as a whole, has seen its crime rate kind of go down a little bit since 2004. Robbery and possible shooting happening right now in Colombia. Can you guys come and help me arrest some people? Super gay cop on the scene. My man, always at the root of the problem. Here we are in Colombia, the state capital. This city is only the 20th most dangerous place in the state as a whole, but you wouldn't know that after watching all the drama happening on Live PD here in Richland County. North Colombia has huge pockets of poverty and crime like this. Myrtle Beach is a tourist town, and it too is a magnet for crime, especially during the summer months when the drunk tourists pour into the state and there's a big flare-up between the tourists and the locals. South Carolina ticked up crime-wise from last year, and now it has the nation's 3rd highest property crime rate in the country. But the worst places for crime are the smallish communities up here in the northeast part of the state, near Florence and Darlington and Hartsville. Why? I couldn't find an easy answer, but high poverty and a lack of good jobs are likely part of the problem. But many smallish South Carolina communities are poor and lack opportunities too. This study says poor communities with minorities are affected by crime at a higher rate, but we knew that already. It also says that community involvement, youth job opportunities, immigration, and residential stability are associated with lowering crime in poorer minority-dominated communities, but that's all basic stuff. Some government organization got funded to report that. We already knew that. The question is, are people actually doing these things? Kids need jobs to stay out of trouble, and people need to care about their communities. So how do we provide more jobs for teens in high-crime communities? Teach them internet skills? Make them stay in school? Let us know in the comments below. Arkansas sadly had the 4th highest violent rate and the 5th highest property crime rate in the nation last year. That makes Arkansas just about as bad for crime last year as the year before. So things aren't getting any better here, pal. Little Rock, Pine Bluff, West Memphis, and Fort Smith are the biggest headaches in this state these days. Those places are rough with a capital R and a scared emoji bad. But you can see on this map that there's no real pattern to criminal activity in this state. The safest places are way up here in the northwest part of the state near Fayetteville, and there's also lots of communities outside of Little Rock that are safe. But all over the state are pockets of crime. Many of the counties in the southern part of the state are, frankly, danger hotspots. Incidentally, or coincidentally, Arkansas is one of the unhealthiest states too. This study on the correlation between crime and health in Arkansas makes the point that in violent communities, people are afraid to go outside, which means they exercise less.
Hey, someone just stole my iPhone! How am I gonna watch TikTok all day now?
Kid, maybe you should get off your TikTok and read a book. Maybe your mom took it away. Start there. It's probably in her closet somewhere. Kids, always staring at their phones. Get off the phones, kids. Go outside. Unless you live in Louisiana, or at least parts of Louisiana. Now, this is the state with the most property crimes per capita. Lake Charles, way down in southwestern Louisiana, has the most thefts per person in the whole country. What is going on in Lake Charles? But it's not just Lake Charles. 4 of the nation's highest cities for property crime are in Louisiana. This article says Louisiana doesn't have a property crime problem, it has a kid problem. I've never heard that before. We have a value problem. We have a group of young people who think it's right to break into your car and take your phone and your gun and your money and your jewelry. They asked him about better home security, and he said technology will only go so far. We need to get a hold of these kids and educate them. And, he adds, you can't arrest your way out of an epidemic. The youth system is broke. Police come after the problem has happened. We need to get smarter on crime, not dumber. Bravo! Amen to that, criminologist expert guy at LSU. Oh, it gets better. There's more. We have parents who are either not there or who are paying attention to other things and not doing a good job of raising their kids. We need to turn around our family systems, our school systems, and our community systems. So if you're a parent in Louisiana or in other places we've already talked about, where are your kids right now? Other experts have said that poverty and warm weather are a reason for higher crime rates. Warm weather? I've never heard that one before. But another article I read said that these poor black communities need better schools, not more prisons. Incidentally, Louisiana has more people locked up behind bars than any other state. Well, Alaska certainly isn't poor, nor is it heavily minority, and it's cold. So it's actually kind of the opposite of Louisiana in many ways, except both states like drilling for oil. Alaska was the most dangerous state last year, but another state got worse, and the number of thefts went down in Alaska last year. But Alaska still remains the most violent state in the whole country, with a violent crime rate of 888 per 100,000 people. To put that into perspective, in Maine, which has by far the lowest violent rate in the state, it's 8 times lower than that. Aggravated assaults in Alaska were up last year, and there was an astounding 1 rape every 7 minutes in Alaska. That's just disgusting, especially when you consider that 1 in 4 of those arrested for sexual offenses were juveniles. Why is Alaska so violent? Addictions are a big deal here. Folks here don't trust government nor respect authority as much as they do in other states, so many people up here handle disputes on their own, often with violence. A lot of times up here in Alaska, it's shoot first or be shot yourself. Breaker 1, Breaker 2, Breaker 3, Breaker everyone. We got a whole lot of stuff going on all over the place. Send the sheriff, send all the fuzz and Barneys and paddy wagons we got. We're in New Mexico, hombre. New Mexico is the second most violent place in the country by population, right behind Alaska, and it also ranks second for number of thefts per year. What's going on? This is one of the least densely populated places in the country. There's a lot of reasons why it's so bad for crime here. It's a poor state, for starters, and the school system here is underfunded, and jobs are harder to come by, and, like in Alaska, addictions are a huge deal in New Mexico. The medical care is poor, and police forces are understaffed. Now, Albuquerque's recently announced plans not to defund their police, but to hire additional professionals to help with stuff like mental health and addictions, and that'll allow the cops to get back to fighting crime against the real perps. We'll have to see how effective this new plan is. Other cities are attempting similar measures.
You know,
the violent crime rate is like the second highest too. So I know it's a per capita thing, so maybe it's just it's in the bigger cities, and it kind of throws it all off. Because I mean, honestly, like I don't really feel like there's a part of New Mexico that I would ever be afraid to go into, you know?
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories of Albuquerque though. Albuquerque like definitely does have a lot of crime. Like you'll hear like gunshots apparently throughout the night. Downtown Albuquerque, and there's like some sketchy areas of Albuquerque that are just like you don't leave your car unlocked, you know? You don't leave your windows rolled down and stuff like that.
Okay, so we learned a lot. A lot of the problem has to do with American schools and kids and drug addiction. Now, instead of America first for jobs, maybe we should make American schools first, or American drug addictions first. I mean, we send all this money overseas to help other countries with their schools and their drug addictions, and meanwhile, we're struggling in our own communities. That was a look at the most dangerous states in America, and hopefully these places change, because we had seen a huge downtick in trends in terms of crime in America, and then it kind of went back up a little bit, so hopefully it goes back down again, huh? I gotta go though. We're driving around this police cruiser, and I see some kids down the block that are up to no good, and I have to go ask them where their parents are. Dangerous, dangerous. It's too bad these states are dangerous. Why can't we be nice to strangers? It's the kids. Fix their schools. It's the drugs. Help these kids. Let's fix their schools. Why do we have such a world view? We have things we need to fix right here. Dangerous, so damn dangerous. I can't leave 'cause it's so dangerous. Someone fix this shit, it's dangerous. So dangerous. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more. You can also now buy my songs on iTunes and other formats. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching. And remember, while we all might have different views, we should all be nice to each other and try to make the U.S. a better place in a positive way.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.